This video is brought to you in part by my sponsors. Card Conduit is the easiest way to sell your unused Magic cards. Whether your collection is sorted or not, there's an option for everyone. With a payout averaging 19% higher than just using one buy list, you can rest assured you get the best bang for your buck. And you can get further savings of 10% on your service fees by using my affiliate link down below or the promo code MTGMUDSTA. 401 Games is Canada's one-stop shop for trading cards, board games, and hobby supplies. With a huge selection of cards and sealed product, first-time buyers can save 5% off their first order by using the code MTGMUDSTA, and returning shoppers can also use the code GOBLINS5 to save 5% on orders of singles. And Dragon Shield, the strongest sleeves for your strongest decks. You can use the promo code MUDSTA or the affiliate link down below to save 5% on your next order. Today's patron shoutout goes to Amy. Thanks Amy for continuing to support me through Patreon. Hey gang, and welcome back. Today's game has Ian, Mika, and Maximus joining me, with Ian playing his Sephara deck, keeping Glorious Protector, Even Skirmisher, 3 Plains, Touch of the Spirit Realm, and Skyhunter Skirmisher. Mika is playing his Sidar Jibari Knights deck, with a Sunken Hollow, Azorius Signet, 2 Plains, Fiendslayer Paladin, Rogue's Passage, and a Knight's Charge. Max has built Cleopatra from the Assassin's Creed set, keeping Great Hall of the Citadel, Bajuka Bog, Barren Moor, Swamp, Yeva Nature's Herald, Heroic Intervention, and Marin of Clan Neltoth. Lastly, I am playing my patron-submitted Maccready Lamplight Mare deck, keeping Plains, Path to Exile, Bloodletter of Akhlazotz, Blind Obedience, Isolated Chapel, Utter End, and Wojak Investigator. Ian wins the die roll and starts us off. He draws, plays a Plains, and casts an Even Skirmisher. I've just got a Plains for turn, and I pass to Mika. Mika draws, plays a Tap Sunken Hollow, and passes. Max has a Swamp for turn, and with no one else having a turn 1 play except for Ian, we move to turn 2. Ian draws, plays a Plains, and casts a Kitesail Scout. Moving to combat, Ian pokes me for 1, and passes after that. I draw for turn, play an untapped Isolated Chapel, and then pay 2 for everyone's favorite, Blind Obedience. Mika draws, plays a Plains, and casts an Azorius Signet which comes in tapped. He then passes, with Max cycling a Barren Moor on his end step to draw a card. Maximus's turn has him drawing, and playing a Great Hall of the Citadel, and then passing after that. Ian draws, and plays a Plains, and then casts a Skyhunter Skirmisher, which comes in tapped. Going to combat, Ian hits me for 2 with his fires, and passes. My turn is quick as I draw, play a Swamp, and cast Wojak Investigator, passing after that. Mika's turn has him playing a Shine Shadow Snarl, revealing a Plains, and then brings out Sidar Jibari, and passes once his commander resolves. Maximus draws, plays a Blast Zone, and laments that it has to come in with a counter on it, and passes turn. Ian's turn just has him drawing, playing a Plains, and passing. I get 2 clue tokens on my upkeep from the Wojak Investigator, and then draw for turn. I play a Swamp, and then cast a Darksteel Augur, paying for Offspring to get a 1/1 copy of it as well. Going to combat, I deal Mika 2 with my Wojak Investigator, and I then pass turn. Mika's got a Plains, and he casts Knight's Charge. Going to combat, he swings Sidar Jibari at Maximus for 4. He gets to loot on attack, discarding a Silverwing Squadron, and Maximus then takes the hit. This allows Mika to reanimate the Silverwing Squadron with Sidar Jibari's ability. With nothing else, he passes, and Maximus adds a counter onto the Blast Zone during his end step. Max draws, plays a Swamp, and then passes. During his end step, Ian flashes out a Glorious Protector. Ian draws and plays a Plains, and then pays 1 and taps 4 flyers to help cast the alternative cost of Sephara. She resolves, and he passes after that. My upkeep has me making 2 more clue tokens, and I then reveal 2 lands from my 2 Darkstar Augur triggers, and then draw for turn. I play a Command Tower, and then cast a Viridescent Vinelasher, paying the Offspring as well. I then bring up Maccready. Going to combat, I swing my Wojak Investigator at Mika, and pass. Mika draws and goes to combat. He swings both of his creatures at Ian, and gets to loot a card from Sidar Jibari's Eminence ability, and then makes 3 2/2 Night tokens. Mika discards a Fiendslayer Paladin and drains the table with the Knight's Charge, and Ian has no response, taking the hit. Mika gets his reanimation trigger, bringing back the Fiendslayer Paladin, and his second main phase has him playing a Rogue's Passage, and then casting Rally the Ranks, naming Knight. After that, he passes, with Maximus flashing in Yeva during his end step. Max draws and casts Cleopatra, and then goes to his end step. This triggers Cleopatra, and he puts a +1/+1 counter onto Yeva and passes to Ian. Ian draws and casts Aerial Assault on Sidar Jibari. He then gains 5 life from his flyers, and he casts a Duskborn Sky Marcher. Going to combat, Ian sends Sephara at Mika, and the Glorious Protector goes at me. Mika and I declare no blocks and take our hits, and Ian jumps back up to 40 thanks to lifelink on Sephara. With nothing else, he passes. My upkeep has me making a clue token, and I once more reveal 2 lands to the Darkstar Augur triggers, and I then draw for turn. I then cast a Bloodletter of Alcazatz, and then play a Swamp, and send both of the Vinelash triggers at Ian, dealing a total of 4, because each trigger is effectively doubled thanks to the Bloodletter. Going to combat, I swing the Wojak Investigator at Mika, who gains Skulk, and since he can't block it now, he takes 4, and I pass turn. Mika draws and makes the Silverwing Squadron unblockable with Rogue's Passage, and then swings it at Ian, and the Knight tokens and Fiendslayer Paladin go at me. Mika makes another 3 Knights, and drains us for a total of 5, and I block a Knight with the Bloodletter, and the Fiendslayer Paladin with the Wojak Investigator. I still take 6, and Ian takes 9, but with nothing else, Mika passes. Max draws and plays a Temple of Malady, scrying 1. He then moves to his end step, and puts the counters onto Sephara thanks to Cleopatra. Ian draws and plays a Plains. He then goes to combat and swings Sephara at Mika, dealing 9 and gaining 9, and passing to me after that. I get a clue token on my upkeep thanks to the Wojak Investigator, and then reveal 2 more lands to the Darkstar Augurs because I can't miss, and then draw for turn. I play a Swamp, and drain Ian for 4 with the Vinelashers again, and then cast Assemble the Players and Extort it. I then crack a clue, drawing a card, and then move to combat. I swing the Bloodletter and Investigator at Mika for 8, and he can't block because of Skulk, and takes it. I then move to discard, and pass. Mika draws and plays a Knight Exemplar, and then goes to combat. He swings everything at Ian, and drains us all with the Knight's Charge for 8, and makes 3 more Knight tokens, and gets to loot a card. Ian blocks the 5 biggest creatures, but still takes 12. Mika then passes, and during his end step, Max flashes in Ghalta. Maximus draws and casts a Soul Shatter, and Ian sacrifices Sephara, I sacrifice the Bloodletter, and Mika sacrifices the Silverwing Squadron. This has Maximus also drawing 2 from Sephara dying because of Cleopatra, and he then plays a Bojuka Bog and exiles Mika's graveyard. He then moves to his end step and puts a counter onto Yeva and Ghalta and passes. Ian's turn has him drawing and playing a Plains. He then recasts Sephara. He passes, and during his end step, I crack a clue token. I reveal 2 more lands to the Darkstar Augur and then draw for turn. I play a Witch's Cottage, dealing 2 to Mika with the Vinelashers, and I put Bloodletter of Alcalots on top. And then cast it with Assemble the Players. Going to combat, I swing it at Mika, and he takes 16. I then move to discard and pass. Mika draws and plays a Swamp. He casts Herald of Hoofbeats, and then goes to combat. He swings the Fiendslayer Paladin at me, and the Knight tokens go at Max. The Knight's Charge drains us for 10, killing Ian outright, and I can't block and take 4. Max heroically casts Heroic Intervention, but still dies, and with nothing else, Mika passes. On his end step, I cast Utter End and exile Knight's Charge before moving to my turn. I crack a clue with the Augur triggers on the stack, drawing a card, and then revealing Pitiless Plunderer and a Swamp. I then play a Swamp and deal 4 to Mika. I then move to combat, swinging completely out at him. They've all gained Skulk because of Maccready, so Mika can't block enough, and dies with Bloodletter effectively doubling all the damage. Game review time. This game was 58 minutes and 27 seconds, I just checked. And yeah, there was a lot of white in this game, and saying that out loud, there was like 0 board wipes this entire time. I mean, there was very little removal in general outside of that aerial assault and soul shatter. But I want to start doing something where I think I will name what I call the MVP of the game. And if you disagree, you should let me know in the comments below what you think is the best card in the game. Today's, I think, was that Knight's Charge. Mika's deck was threatening. I mean, it's threatening to begin with because it's kind of a very aggressive Anthem-based deck. But the Knight's Charge draining everyone was what was doing a lot of work, I think. He must have gotten, like, it was what, 2, then 4, then 6 or 7, then 8? No, so 5. And it just adds up really, really quickly. I think the only saving grace that kept me from dying super early on against his deck was the fact that Maccready will punish him so hard if he attacked me with those drains. Other than that, Maccready providing Skulk, which is a mechanic I never really got into. I wasn't super big into that Eldritch Moon set. It's good. It's super good. It's really good. And as I said, this is a Patreon submitted deck. I would say this is probably the best Orzhov deck I've been able to play. It was so good. It felt like I always had something to do. I had tons of mana. I had tons of card draw, tons of interaction. And like, even I think if I had been hit with a board wipe, I would have been probably okay. Assemble the players, great card. Maximus's Cleopatra deck really struggled. He just wasn't doing anything. And even by the time that he cast Gulta, which is just a massive beater, and he was able to pump it, there was just no good attacks. I think in his case, a lot of his creatures were supposed to go tall as opposed to wide. And Mika's just board state was so powerful, especially once the Herald of Hoofbeats came out and basically granted Mika's creatures all unblockable. Things were pretty much over. Sephara is a special card for me because A, it was given to me as a commander deck for Christmas. It was like one of those Secret Santa decks. So it's really, really fun and really, really cool. And I think it's actually deceptively powerful. You do want to run, unfortunately, a lot of really cheap, inefficient kind of flyers just so that you can power her out as fast as you can. But the effect that she gives on any kind of flying creature that has any relevant ability, the Indestructible, is just awesome. It gives you so much protection against board wipes to clear the way, and almost all of your deck is going to have built-in evasion, which is just powerful. Otherwise, this was a really, really fun game, so hopefully you liked it, and there's another couple ones coming out soon. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, but it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.